You're watching Wildlife TV, brought to you by the Essex Wildlife Trust, and today we're going to be talking about animal behaviour. So if you want to get close to wildlife, maybe you want to draw it or paint it, maybe you want to take a photograph, or maybe even do a video like this. It really helps if you can understand what animals do and why they do it, because then you can be in the best possible place in order to see them. So at the minute, I'm not sure if you can hear, I'm absolutely surrounded by starlings. They're very noisy. And I always think of starlings maybe as almost mini vultures. They're always on the lookout. And it only takes one starling to find some food that you've put out, and then all of a sudden, the starlings are everywhere. They come from nowhere, it seems. Because there's one thing that a starling will not turn down, and that is free food. A lot of the starlings around our garden at the minute have got fledglings, and boy oh boy are they demanding. They make it crystal clear exactly what they want. Feed me, and feed me now. No, right now. Spring is obviously the time when most of our summer migrants turn up, and having flown all the way from Africa, it's unsurprising that they're both tired and hungry. It takes a lot of energy to go on that long distance migration. Now I'm sat here in a paddock where we keep a couple of our horses, and it's a beautiful area to just spend some time. We're surrounded by big flocks of goldfinches and linnets. We've got skylarks singing overhead, we've got swallows hawking over the ground here, catching insects. But there's one migrant in particular that I'm going to try and find. And I'm going to use my own little animal behaviour formula to see if I can capture it on video. So we've got paddocks. Where there's paddocks, there's horses. Where there's horses, there's going to be horse poo. And where there's horse poo, there's going to be insects. And fingers crossed, where there's insects, we're going to find the stunningly beautiful yellow wagtail. At this time of year, most birds are nesting, and there are usually some pretty clear telltale signs. We've had a pigeon, for example, who's been diving headfirst into this bush behind me with twigs for the last few days. I think it's pretty clear what's going on. Now we don't want to disturb them, so we'll just take a very quick and quiet peek inside. The swallows and house martins that have just arrived in the last few weeks, they're also nest building. And to construct their nests, they need wet mud. But with all this lovely sunny weather we've been having, the ground is bone dry. So there's an excellent opportunity here for you. to really help the swallows and house martins, but also to get a really close view. Get a big bucket of water, pour it out over an area of earth, and give the swallows what they want, some lovely wet mud. The behaviour of our garden blue tits has been fascinating this year. One pair in particular clearly took a shine to the nest box behind me, and they spent the back end of the winter going in and out, checking it out, almost endlessly going in and out. It's like they couldn't make their mind up. Do you like it? I like it. Do you like it? I'm not sure. I'll have another look. Anyway, eventually they must have decided they did like it, and they started to make a nest. I say they, it's actually just the female on her own that makes the nest. On her own? How unfair is that? How lazy of the male. Anyway, they get a nest and then it all goes quiet. And we think, have they deserted? Have they been predated? Just occasionally we would see one bird go into the nest box with a tiny bit of food, but hardly ever saw them. But then all of a sudden, there's so much activity. The birds are going in and out every couple of minutes now. They're bringing caterpillars in, taking fecal sacs out. Clearly those eggs have hatched. And we have a blue tit family. Having spent days building the nest, it's then a fortnight incubating, so it's pretty tough on the female. It's probably not that nice in there, it's a bit cramped, probably quite hot and stuffy. So occasionally she'll come out for a break. Now if you've got a bird bath nearby, you can be pretty sure that that's going to be well used and greatly appreciated. Many species in our garden have already raised chicks successfully this year. We've already spoken about the starlings, but we've got blackbirds and robins also bouncing around, demanding food from their parents. Now, the thing about nestlings is they're quite trustworthy. They've never seen a human before, so they don't really know any different. Could almost consider them maybe a little bit naive, and that's quite dangerous for a chick to be so trustworthy. But if you move quite slowly and quite quietly, you can get really quite close to these chicks. We recently had some long-tailed tits, very cute little birds, but they really didn't mind me being close to them. I could have almost reached out and touched them. I think they thought I was just a weird-looking tree. Now I've been focusing on birds, but actually probably the easiest thing to see close up are insects. Find some nice flowers, brightly coloured, smelling sweetly, something like this, the canary bush behind me. Sit down and wait for the insects to come to you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's really just scratched the surface of animal behaviour, but hopefully it's given you a few ideas, maybe to think like an animal and get in the mindset of an animal. It might help you to think where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing, and allow you to get some much better views of those creatures that you're so desperate to see. Give it a go, see how you get on. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do go and check out Wildlife TV across all of our social media platforms. Please do go and check out Essex Wildlife Trust's website, which is www.essexwt.org.uk, and check out more great content like this. Maybe even create your own content and send it in. We'd love to see it. But until next time, stay connected to nature and please enjoy watching wildlife.